It's not actually live. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Smite 2 patch notes, or a dev inside show. It's not patch notes, but they might have some patch notes for what's going to be going on. Honestly, I've been waiting all day, just at work, just on my phone, trying to avoid seeing what's going to happen. Or seeing what's in this, basically, so I can be fresh and see it all. I'm pretty sure Bacchus' arm texture tore there. Pretty sure that just happened. But I'm gonna ignore that because, yeah. It's so epic. I never get team rushes like that. Oh boy, I can't wait for the 24/7 alpha. It's gonna be great.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome to another edition
Maybe
of
just
the
bump
Smite
that up
2
a little bit.
Dev Insight Show. My name's Isaiah, community lead here at Titan Forge Studios. I'm going to be your host today, and we're going to be going over a lot of stuff.
Tag?
We had a lot of feedback come in during our last closed alpha weekend
I have no
playtest,
idea.
and the team has been putting in a ton of work. So we're going to be talking about a
better
lot
have.
of stuff here today. And
I
here
wanted to
break
play
off,
last
break down
weekend.
A lot of the things that we're going through is Alex,
Why do they have
our
poker
executive
chips in the
producer here at
background?
Titan Forge, and then design director AJ
there anything
is
in the
joining me here
background
as
that's
well.
like-
How are y'all doing today?
Doing great. Yeah, excited to be
Hinting at
here.
anything? No.
Excited
Doesn't
to
seem like
be able
it.
to talk about how we're addressing all the feedback that we got from the
Doesn't
community.
seem like it.
And
But also, I wouldn't
I just want to
actually notice
start by
because
thanking the community for
Isaiah
giving
the
us the
Sage,
feedback.
Ajax,
We've
who we got? I
said
guess-
publicly a lot of times, like,
who am I thinking
don't
of?
treat us with kid gloves. Don't act like, oh, it's a
Oh, they
beta.
didn't.
They'll get to it, right? You guys definitely took the kid gloves off this time, and you gave us some real, honest,
AKA
hard-hitting
everybody told
feedback.
them exactly
And,
what was wrong
You know,
with it.
it's hard as a dev team to.
But
like,
I
oh
hope
my
that
God,
they
hate it,
listen
you
to
know,
the
for
people
a day
who
or
are
two.
saying,
But then it was like,
what's
cool. Now
wrong?
we have the information that we need
As
to really
in, like,
hit the ground running.
the people
and
who
to
are
address the
actually pointing
issues
out what was
and
wrong,
make the
as
game
opposed
that
to
we
those
all
who are
wanna
just
play.
whining.
So thank you all for
If
the
they
feedback.
listen
It's
to the
really been great
whiners,
getting
Smite
the
2 is
team,
cooked.
rallied around addressing it over the past few days.
Absolutely. Well, this is going to be a Dev Insight show. It's going to be a little bit more casual, a little bit more conversational. We're going to be talking at a high level some of the biggest community topics and feedback that we got and how we're addressing them
Okay, cool,
going into
cool.
Closed Alpha 1. Now, this is not a full update show. I want to be clear before we get started and get everything going here. So we're going to have a full update show for Closed Alpha 1 in a couple weeks where we're going to be going
Couple
over things
weeks?
like full God
Alpha
item, game
releases
mode
in a
balance.
couple
We're gonna
weeks,
have a
boy.
full Mordred kit reveal on that show in a couple weeks. I know people are really excited about that. Then we're also going to be going a little bit more in depth on some of the things like ranked and some other gameplay systems,
I
as
don't
well as
care
we'll
about
have full
ranked.
patch
I
notes on
might
the
care about
website
ranked.
when that show goes live in a couple of weeks. But
I don't know
for
if I'll
today,
care
we've
about
got a lot of good stuff going over. So y'all just want to hop into it? I feel like we've got.
Yes, I'm going to go off script a little bit at the start.
Let's go
though.
off script,
I
hey.
addressed one
Don't
thing that I
you
don't think we
dare.
ever talked about from Alpha Weekend 4.
Yeah.
And that's that servers kind of sucked at the start
That
of
is
it.
true, yeah.
So
I
what
never
we
actually had
learned
any
after
server
we get-
problems
through looking
myself,
at some data there
which
is that we
is
were
kinda weird.
using a group of servers that didn't have fast enough hard drives to be able to run the Smite 2 server.
Oh
and that
my
was causing
God.
really degraded performance. So
They were using the
starting
Smite 1 servers.
around day 2 of the last alpha, you notice the performance got a lot better. That's because we got all of those slow hard drive servers out of the rotation, and we aren't going to be bringing that level
Cool,
of server
cool.
back into the rotation.
Also,
going
shout
forward.
out to
So you
that little
shouldn't
bit of
see that issue
Alienware
anymore.
back there. Does Alienware
We
still
will
exist?
also, for this next test, we're going to be testing a couple different server regions. So again, we're just trying to make
thank
sure that we get
God.
the best experience possible, but you may find that you have slightly different ping from match to match because we're going to be testing a couple different regions to see what works best for
Oh.
everybody.
Oh, no.
But with that little
That's not
off script out of the way, we can get to what we actually
I
want
want
to
to
talk about.
play
Sorry about
on the
excited. I know
Chinese
the
servers,
first topic that we're going
please.
to cover today has been a big topic even since the initial alpha weekend.
Big topic. Let's go.
Kind of on the forward-facing God selection side of things. Let's talk about how we are transitioning from
They're
3D
removing roll
renders
queue.
to card art coming back in Alpha Weekend 1.
Card art.
Card art's back.
Yep, that's
I'm so
it.
excited. Yeah. So
Okay.
I think AJ will talk more about this, but initially when we were designing,
That's
Smite
one of the
2,
biggest things that was talked about.
One of the things we were thinking was like, man, these models look so great. Let's try and use the models.
That's
right. And initially when we were
what
designing
was
the
being
UI, we were
talked
like,
about?
Oh, it'd be really cool if we could use the actual 3D models moving everywhere. And so we were
Bullshit.
kind of building towards that. But what we found is that, like, performance-wise, that was just never going to work out in a way that felt good to players.
Oh, it
It's
was
going to take a long
showing.
time to load screens. So then we went to these renders, which I think looked nice, but I don't think they gave us
Okay.
my feel that
I-
I
Right,
wanted,
yeah.
right?
Honestly, it's not
we've been
something
taking this
I
feedback
ever
because we want
even
the card art back,
thought
and
about.
we've been talking
Like,
about well, how can
When
we
picking
stay
my god,
true to
I
the
never even
original
thought
card
about like,
but
oh, it doesn't have
update it
the
in a way
card
that
art.
feels modern and Smite 2-y. So I'll let AJ take the helm here. I'm
I don't
talking too
know.
much. So
I don't know.
I mean, the
I don't
people
think
have
it
spoken.
matters.
They wanted the cards, so the cards are coming back.
Who was complaining about
We're going to
that?
be using the Smite 1 card art for the default cards as inspiration for most of the, ported Smite 1 gods. New gods like
Inspiration, you
Hecate
say?
and Mordred will have to have all new cards. Those might not be ready for this patch because we're going to have to go out and make those.
they will not be
New
ready.
They will not be.
gods.
That's right. They will not be ready. But
Is it just
many
gonna
of the
be
gods
Hecate?
will
And
be
I
ready,
saw
and they'll be using
earlier,
their Smite 1 card art. But we're going to do some touch-ups. Like,
some kind of night
some
dude?
of their default cards are very old. And might have some other
As soon as
issues
I
with
saw it, I was like, "That's
proportions or
my
sizing, or also we
scroll-
changed models. on
scroll
different
away!"
characters, too. They have different clothing, different outfits, different shapes. So trying to make that accurate, we're going to do some touch-ups. The goal is to really keep it in the spirit. We're not completely reworking it.
That doesn't.
We know people
This
love
doesn't
those
bode
arts
well
for
because
many
that
reasons.
sounds
So,
like a whiner
yeah,
problem.
we have a demo here today
not
to show you
a,
what Loki is going to look
not an
like
actual problem.
in Smite 2 card art. So we can go ahead and throw that up on the screen to give an example. So here's the card art you're used to for Loki. It's nice art, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't look like Loki. Like his face is
talk about?
purple, and his
got that
eyes
butt
are kind
chin.
of like, it's almost like he's wearing a mask. It's like. It doesn't quite look like our Loki, even though it's a cool card. So then we're going to go ahead and
looks
toggle to
cool.
the updated version that we plan to use as his default in Smite 2.
You should
that
put them.
gets a lot more of Loki's personality coming through, his actual facial features looking accurate, some other corrections for lighting and
Okay.
directional reflections in other places on the card. But
Interesting.
This is the level of change we're looking for. So we're not looking to change core poses.
Okay,
or
I like it
theme or
more.
style.
I like this one
It's
more.
just
They
some
should have put
touch-ups
them
on the
side by
detail
side.
level. Like, a lot
small,
of them are face,
small complaint. That way you
specific
could have
facial
really seen the
expression and
differences,
facial,
but
features updates,
that
but
looks
then
like a
some
much
also
more
have
evil
armor
face,
and,
and it's not like
weapon updates
enhancing
to
the
match
butt
that
chin.
as well.
Like his
So
chin in the other one
every
was like it had
god in
cleavage.
Smite 2 will have
I
these
mean,
card arts.
Yeah, and I think in the early
I
days of Smite 2
guess
development,
I
we
don't
said,
really
"It's gonna be Smite,
care."
but strictly better. And I think that maybe we went off the rails.
Or
I don't really care. Just, let's get
in a
off.
way, it even affects the core gameplay. Taking so number one goal: adjust Smite 2 art style, and what can we do to make it more our own?
Okay.
Make it to
Here's
make
more
it
of what
pop,
I care
Make
about.
it feel like Smite. So
Hopefully.
we're gonna have a lot of changes we're about to show.
Environment
so
overall.
number one goal:
Style
adjust core
and
engine
fantasy.
settings to remove that default Unreal Engine feel. Right. That was
do you
one thing we really tried to
mean?
tackle hard. Next
It
one was
felt great.
try to get to these
It was
more
easy to
crisper,
navigate
sharper
stuff.
images. Like there's that part of that Unreal Engine feel is a lot of like hyper realism focus. You get a lot of camera blur, a lot of distance blur, stuff like that. That's not
Lens
really
flare.
fit to Smite's gameplay.
Get
very
Michael Bay on it.
well.
He'll
the next
fix
one
your
was to
shit.
adjust the environment and the character models and lighting for more vibrant
Environment
colors and some stylized visuals. So those were kind of the two really
So-
big goals. Standing in the
Show
center
us?
of mid lane,
Okay.
looking at the order base would look like in Alpha 4 update. So
Okay.
take a second,
Absorb it in.
bring it in. I mean,
Let it
I'm
simmer.
absorbing.
there's nothing immediately offensive
I'm
about
absorbing.
this, I think, but it's like we're thinking about
absorbing.
what can still be improved. And those things I'm listed here. So now let's
Yeah, I
toggle-
think the thing that's most striking is just like the amount of brown.
yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of brown and green earth tones, just like
Yeah,
everywhere.
you don't
So
want
now
your.
let's toggle to the new.
you don't really want
in
your,
progress, closed alpha
what would it be?
version.
Your
Here we go. So you have a completely reworked floor. You have a lot more vibrant green,
Hold up.
closed alpha grass in the trees and version. Is that contrast?
Yeah.
A lot of
like this looks really natural and like nice and such. That looks a little bit cartoony, in my opinion. Like, I guess they're going more for a fantasy feel. I mean, they said and fantasy. But, like, this just seems like... it looks better to me. Like, it feels like it's... It feels... what was it? What would it be? It feels big. It feels big. Like this, it seems like everything kind of just... Like the tree, the tree leaves seem like they're more together. They don't seem as spaced out. I don't know, this seems bigger. I liked it feeling bigger than Smite 1. Smite 1, it feels kind of like everything's just kind of closed in. You're kind of just as small. You're kind of just like a big guy in a little world. I like that it's a bit darker. Is one like that's one of the things that I like. Let's see. What are we going on the mini map? I'm looking at the mini map. What do we got on the mini map? Okay, so mini map. I mean, that's just a random buff. Those are all random buffs, I guess. Looks like they kind of took it in a little bit at the sides. Or they expanded at the sides a little bit. And they kind of crunched in some of the... if you look at the minimap, you can, like, kind of crunched in a little bit of... A lot, actually. Like, a lot of the little pieces, they seem to have... Like, up here. Look at that. Crunched in. Like, over here. They crunched it in. I don't know if they're actually remodeling it. Oh well. Suffice to say, it looks a bit more cartoony.
You have a completely reworked floor. You have a lot more vibrant greens in the grass and the trees, and different greens that contrast each other, as well as the rocks.
Yes.
You've got sharper visuals. Like if you can production,
this kind of looks Hogwarts Legacy
back and forth between them, like every few seconds as we talk. Like look in the distance as they toggle back and forth, and you'll see that a lot of the distant visuals are a lot more clear. Even with that kind of fog, you got a lot better view of them. If you look at Anubis, even just the back of his head, you can see some of that Unreal Engine blur that's there in the old version, and the colors don't quite work out. And then into the new version, you see that like that green really shines.
The one thing I will give them 100%.
Like
one thing I will give them
this is
that the colors match a whole lot better right now.
So,
like before, it seemed
we're
like
look at a few more
Gooby was just kind of pasted onto
map,
it. This it looks like he's
out,
actually
shout outs to all the art team and environment team that have been working so hard on this. And I want to also, like Alex mentioned with the rollout, I want to is going to call it like props on the trees and rocks. So those do. It's not that we intended to remove all that. And then
maybe don't.
This is the reworked floor for looking at the chaos side from the mid lane. And then, a lot of brown again. And then here's the new looking at the chaos side of the mid lane. So things, trees. Well, we're going to see not show, but chaos. Good target. What section is that? We're going to apply similar methodology to arena. The way the characters.
In.
Okay. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Really is making a big difference. So it's great.
Okay.
If we want to go to the in-game real quick, I'll walk around in the parts of the conquest map that are looking okay.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
We can get a real look at it.
Get to look at the map a little bit better.
So here we are in the gameplay of it.
See what I mean about it feeling
in real time?
No, well, I guess it still doesn't feel like.
I noticed the most.
It's still not Smite 1 levels of small feeling.
Like everything just feels.
I'm happy
sharper.
with that.
It's easier to read what's going on.
Doesn't feel tiny.
I noticed it a lot when we were testing in Arena, which has, like you said, it's still a little more progress.
I'm going to, out of instinct, try to follow those paths, and it is going to kill me.
It was a lot easier for me to follow what was going on.
In game, I'm going to die because I'm like, oh, I gotta run on the path. Because like instinctually, I think path equals faster.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, there's so much cool stuff going here. I'll demo the grass real quick because it's just really cool.
I love how it just flows in the wind.
Like, but it also reacts to your targeters.
Oh, that's
so
awesome.
it doesn't obscure your aim.
That's not bad.
And it's very stylized kind of
Queen
grass
Naga.
instead of realistic, which
Excuse you, Queen Naga.
Really
hello.
Like, this is
hello.
Like,
can you
we've really
please
a lot
tell me what that is?
We've been making a lot of these big changes. Really
I want
fast
to know
and
what
just,
the
like,
Queen
really
Naga is.
What we can continue to do with
no, shut up about the art. I don't care about the art.
Continued to give to this, so
yeah, I think some people were.
I really don't care about the art. Okay, it must be that star.
And I don't think that.
Why did it spawn on Order side?
But stylized is definitely.
Is it unique, or is that just like?
And I think something we need.
God, I hope that doesn't just like randomly spawn on a side.
We're going to try and lean a little bit more
on
like the cinematic style of Smite. but it just didn't feel enough like Smite. And
I
I hear you, and hopefully this feels a lot better.
And it supports the gameplay better, too. It's just like this bit of style and vibrance just really does. We're going to talk more about that in a later
that little
section.
star thing
All right, I guess while we're on the topic, we
doesn't
can move on to the next
randomly
section, which
spawn.
is closely related to a lot of this, which is performance.
Yes. Lots of work going into performance.
Alex, do you want to kick that off? Or
Yeah, so
Apparently,
I am not a
Lumen
technical
last
person, but I
time was
will- I will explain it.
causing
So,
tons of lag issues.
Several of our engineers have been taking a really, really deep dive into performance, to the point where every
That was
playtest
one
that
of the
we
things
do,
I heard people complaining
we
about the
are
most, to be fair.
logging the performance of each tick of the game. So basically, like each frame that it's drawing, and they're looking at each individual process that's running during each frame and what's slowing the game down. And it's it has made a very substantial difference.
Okay,
The
so
other
they
thing
went
that
in
we are
and they're
doing
like,
now that we weren't doing in
it,
previous
say it
alphas, we're
runs
still working on it, still
X line.
haven't
Wait a
yet,
minute,
is we
wait
are
a minute.
pre-caching,
Look at
some of
that.
basically, like when FX
Okay.
and audio are called by the engine,
Okay,
they
that's
have to run
that's better.
through a
It's
conversion.
better. It looks like that's a
at
tier 3
runtime,
auto.
to make
It
them
looks
usable by
like
the
you
engine.
can. Oh,
And
Ooh,
now
they
we're
look cool.
pre-caching that, so it doesn't need to do
But
that during the game. So you should feel a
it
lot
looks
less
like
hitches. So generally,
item
the
shop
game
got
should feel a
a bit
lot
reworked,
smoother
which
overall,
I'm
with a lot
happy for.
fewer hitches.
I like that.
And also, it should just run at a better frame rate
You're missing.
overall.
You're missing some.
Your individual
There's some
experience
audio
is going
there.
to be different depending on what your PC setup is. Some people have seen drastic changes. One of our artists, one of our concept artists,
Missing
who
some serious audio on those
works
autos.
remote, said that on his home PC, he went from, and I don't want to oversell this because this is his setup, and I don't know what settings he was on, but he went from like 60 frames a second to like over 100 frames a second.
Right.
Ooh.
On my home
So they went in,
PC,
they looked at
run,
like what code executes
medium
where, and
settings,
they're like,
and I have like a 5-year-old
what are we
computer.
doing
I run
extra
medium
here?
settings at like 90
like
frames
this
a second
line,
now.
it didn't need to happen. It's
so
taking up extra space,
it's
or I could have
still
shortcutted
not
this. doing
perfect.
this.
We're still working on the optimizations. We still have
They're
a
all
lot
just
to
on
do,
high right now.
but I
Interesting.
think you should notice a lot of performance improvements, which are really
cool.
hard to talk about, and you
Cool,
just
cool.
kind of have to feel.
Pretty
So
cool.
please let us
Pretty neat.
know
It's
if
pretty
the game
cool.
is running better on your computer, or if you're seeing things that are causing performance issues, to let us know. I also want to shout out the environment art
Is
team,
that new card
who,
art?
have
That
helped with the
little,
performance as well.
I don't know. I
Some
don't
of
pay
our
enough attention to
performance issues
smaller
previously
things
were
like,
actually due to things in
is
the
that
environments. And they've done a lot of work in addition to these art
Johnny
changes to do performance
picture right
improvements.
there?
So,
Is that
it's really a lot better.
Johnny?
Yeah,
I'm
well
too
said.
smited
I mean,
up.
it's really
Or
it's
I'm
one of
too
those things
magicked
that
up.
just it takes a lot
fucking
of time and effort
and
work
her.
to
Is that
focus
is that
on
little
performance
and
and
her
get it done. And
picture?
for a
Is
long
that
time, our main goal was
a
just
new
adding
card
content
art,
to the
or
game
is
and
that-
getting
was
more
that there
playable
before?
characters, playable modes, etc. But
don't know.
now's the time. So we really buckled down and dedicated a lot of
I
engineering
don't
time and art
care
time into
about
getting
the
that performance.
playable modes.
Even designers, it was
All
something we
I
were able to do with all
want is a
departments
good
to improve that performance. And,
conquest.
it's really paying off for us in our playtesting. We hope you see it too.
Yeah,
If
every
anything is giving you big hitches, report it, let us know. We'll tackle it for the next patch.
every hour or two, there's a post in our Slack, which is like a internal messaging thing if you don't have Slack. That's like a screenshot of this, tick graph. That's like this little thing is taking 3 milliseconds to run. Somebody needs to look at this, and we're like, oh god.
Unreal
getting
Insights
into
for
the
those of you
nitty-gritty.
who are interested in the development process. Epic and the Unreal Engine have an Unreal Insights tool that you can use to look at this. It's really cool and really useful, and we've been using it a lot.
Shaving
All right, well,
milliseconds.
the next thing is
that's
kind
what
of a
you need to do.
larger subject. People were talking about it in chat when you kind of teased it a little bit, AJ.
Yeah, spoilers.
Item shop
Yeah.
kind of updates.
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
items
let's
in
get into
general.
that. I
bought a
like
whole bunch of
that.
tier 2s, which
I wanna
was
see it.
intentional. I'm not,
whole bunch of
I'm
tier
better
2.
at Smite than that. But all right, let's rattle off some of these exciting item store changes. All right, I'm just gonna let's go through them and then we'll look at them.
Yes.
Cool.
We'll
Let's
just
do
talk
it.
about them real quick. But first, so we're adding the short description view mode in the item store. That's what you're used to the default on Smite 1.
Smite 1
Adding
DC.
additional dividers between stat categories for better viewing. We'll show you that in a second. We're adding a lot of gameplay changes to the item store, so a lot of UI to support that. So starter items are returning with with upgrades.
Starter items. Starter items.
Consumables
Yes.
and wards are returning and will now function like Smite 1 consumables and wards. And active item slots. Are doing a pretty
No.
interesting change to their design. They're mostly going to work now function like Smite 1.
No. No. No, God, no! I don't want to buy wards. Oh.
Consumables and wards.
Okay.
And
Well,
active
hopefully
item
it
slots
just
are getting a
means
pretty
you can buy an extra one to
interesting
use in addition to
change
the
to their
active.
design. They're mostly going to work now function like Smite 1 consumables and wards, and active item slots are getting a pretty interesting change to their design.
No,
they're mostly going to work like how you're used to, but we're going to do a lot more interesting stuff on the HUD and the UI to better facilitate that.
Oh wait, no.
And
still
as
gonna
part of
work.
that,
Okay.
we will be capping the number of actives you can buy to 3 actives.
Oh.
So
that's gonna be interesting.
let's go in game and then let's look at some of these features.
Yeah,
Okay.
and if you could actually, can you make the item store small for 1 second?
I see blink.
Chat was talking about it already. I just
The
wanna
item
mention
store
it.
small?
Yeah, no, just close it. Sorry,
close
close
it.
it.
Oh.
Yeah, sorry. Another thing that you'll notice is that we continue to iterate the UI. I saw people talking about it in chat, so I just want to, and one of the things that this most recent pass is doing is it's changing the colors of all the health bars to be more readable, and it's reducing the amount of brightness overall in the UI. We thought it was so loud that it was kind of like overstimulating and
Wasn't loud
clashing
enough
and
for me
making
to
it
notice.
harder to read
I still run
the
in when
rest
I
of the
have
world as you're running around.
an eighth of my
So,
HP.
sorry, I just
Minion
since
health
we're-
bars are a good example there.
It's gonna
Yeah.
be even worse
Minion
now.
health bars now like scale and fade
I'm
out
gonna
at
be,
a certain
gonna be the
distance.
most
You don't see a whole
suicidal
bunch of, like,
mage that's ever
infinite
existed.
rectangles when you're looking down the lane. A lot of stuff went into it like
Yeah,
that.
it really does make.
Team display up here got
Oh, what was that?
relocated to
It's
a
a little
position
thingy.
people are going to be more familiar with.
Yeah, sorry to call that out of order here, but just because we're looking at the UI in general, and I see people mentioning it, I was like, might as well mention it.
Right.
Yeah, I haven't had chat up at all because I'm following
Yeah,
the notes, but
you're
I'm glad
driving.
someone is. Were they hyped about the environment?
They seem
yeah.
pretty hype. Yeah, I would say.
Good. Okay, good. I'm sad I missed the live chat, but I was actually having to pay more attention to the
sort
chat.
of
I'm in the pond.
dulled,
I'm in the pon seat
the
today.
darker.
Right?
Oh God, remember when you dressed
Like
me up
it's
like
weird
Pon Pon
because
for a
there's
Pat
more
show?
color,
in like
That was
but it's
April Fool's
darker.
2016 or something.
I
my goodness.
I like it.
Okay,
I kind of
anyway,
like
items.
it.
So
I'm not.
items,
I'm
yeah.
not
Here's
mad at it.
what we mean by
Okay.
the short description mode. So instead of just a huge field of grids, you now have the item with a little bit of text that kind of tells you
Oh.
its unique feature if it has an active, or tells you like what
Ooh,
basic
you can
stats
sort
it
by
does,
active.
the things like that.
And it's worth calling out that this is the default view for PC. If you're playing on console,
Oh, no.
your default view is going to be the split item store, like it is on
Right.
console currently, with short descriptions, or or with just the icons. So
so split,
yeah.
and then grid detail minimal.
minimal. Yeah. So and you notice we have default settings for a lot of these things now. What the default does is it allows us to say, okay, we have a different default setting for
Ooh,
PC and we have a different default setting for console, without needing to have multiple different
I don't-
settings in
I don't
it-
like
in
how that
in the
looks.
UI. So
I do
it's
not
the
like how
quickest way
that
to get
looks.
this in, so it'll
Put it back.
feel
Put it back.
normal
Put it back.
to people.
No.
regardless of where you're
That should not have
Right,
a
so
split. I
consoles
hate.
will
I
default
hate
to this
that.
view.
I hate how that
And
looks.
PC will default to the other one. I guess I can just use that.
Not
No,
not
you
the
can
small.
use the
I
PC
like
one.
the
People-
small
I'm sure
items.
people-
Small
most
items
people
are
watching the
good
stream are probably
when
PC
I
players.
because
Yeah,
as you
Yeah,
if you
sorry.
play the game
Sorry
for
to
any
change
kind of
it.
regularity,
I honestly
um,
like centered.
you're
I
gonna
never
learn
really
what
used
items
the
are
short,
where,
the
and that
grid-
smaller
like the
UI is
little
gonna
item
let you
grid only
get
in
to
Smite
those
1. I
items
use
without
this mode, but
having
now
to
I kind of
scroll
like it
through
in
that
this
nonsense.
view with the grid.
I
So
don't.
yeah, this is what we're talking about.
really
for item
don't.
number one, or
That's
for
a
item
horrible
number one. Number
view.
two is these dividers. So previously these were like
No,
all,
Central
even in the
Ward.
grid, this was just like
No.
one big grid. It was
No.
like in order, but
Vision
it
War,
didn't have
Place
these
War, that
dividers
reveals
like this,
enemies.
except for
No.
I think just tier 1, tier 2, tier 3.
No.
We have consumables.
I don't
Starters,
want
tier 3 offensive. So you
no.
can see all the int and strength items. Then you can scroll through that and see the tier 3 defensive. So even if you like don't really have a filter going or you don't know what you want, you can
that's
see. And then
horrible.
hybrid,
Stop
these
it.
have int or strength and protections or health.
I only want to
And
see
then
tier
twos,
3s
and then finally
because
tier
I'm
ones at the
only
bottom. You
building
can
into
also
tier
invert
3s.
That was already a feature before, but
And one thing worth mentioning too, because a lot of people haven't noticed this yet, is at the top we still have these role tabs. So, and these
Wait a
are
minute.
custom
Hold
for
up a
the
second.
god in that role. So if you want to play,
I'm
I don't know
looking
who you're
at
on right
the
now. You're on-
actual
on-
like
on
player
her.
if
bar
you want
down
to play
there.
on
And I'm
her
seeing
mid, these are
6 item
items that you might
slots,
want to build to play
the
on her mid.
active,
So it's kind of
2
like a
consumable
recommended
slots, and
build
then some
for that
other
role.
slot at the front.
So if you're looking for a really simple way of figuring it out,
Maybe
and-
there's
and
gonna
I
be, like,
believe that if you call a
pickupables
role,
on
we're actually
the,
gonna default you to
that's not in.
not in
this
yet.
patch.
Okay,
That'll be something
eventually
that
we will
when
default you to the set.
Yeah, when we get to roll queue
Pickupables.
and things like that,
Okay.
we'll be working on stuff like that. But yeah, if you're playing a god in any role, these filters are that's not in.
Not in
this
yet.
patch.
Okay, build that role. So if you want mentioning too, because a lot of people haven't noticed this yet, is at the top there we still have these role tabs. So, and these are custom for the god in that role. So if you want to play, I don't know who you're on right now. Are you on her?
On her.
If you want to play on her mid, these are items that you might want to build to play on her mid. So it's kind of like a recommended build for that role.
Right.
So
I
if,
don't use
if you're
that.
looking for a really simple way of figuring it out, and I believe that if you call a role, we're actually going to default you to
That's not in.
not in
this
yet.
house.
Okay,
That'll be
essentially we
when
will
we
default
work-
you to this after.
Let
when
me
we
turn
get to
that
roll,
off.
Roll queue
I
and
do
things
not
like
want
that.
that.
We'll be working
I want
on
to
stuff
build
like that.
silly
But
shenanigans
If you're playing a god
every
in
time
any
I
role,
play.
these filters are really helpful to give you a much smaller
you
list
dare
of items.
default me
This
to
is
shit.
a more traditional basic attack focused build. If you switch to jungle or mid for on her, that's a more traditional ability like hunter build, like you would be familiar from. That's my one. Let's see, going through the list. Okay, consumables.
Yeah, let's talk about consumables.
Yeah, this is a big one.
So
Yes,
here we go. We have
Jesus.
consumables now in
Please
the filter.
tell me I still
You can
get my
now
ward
buy
active.
your wards and sentry wards. You will no longer get a free
God
ward, and there will be no
damn it!
cooldowns on them. Potions
No, you
work
don't
the same as they have been. We added health chalice, so solo laners. That was some big feedback for solo lane really wanting that. But yeah, these work like you'd expect in Smite 1. You can have up to 2 vision wards and 1 sentry ward in your inventory at one time.
No! No! Fuck! And when the active let you have the ward, not only did you never have to fucking think about buying wards, you always had that ward. If you forgot it, it wasn't a big deal. But it also encouraged the dum-dums, the utter brainlets who never ward, to ward because they just had it there. They just had it available to them. Oh, I hate.
They go into specific slots that are
I
no
hate-
longer getting mixed up with your item inventory. They have dedicated hotkeys to them. These are the exact same default hotkeys that you would use on
Hold up
PC
to-
or on Savage or Challenger on console.
Why is the
So
active
your
item on
Relic, your Consumable 1 and Consumable 2 will all be exactly what you're used to based on Smite 1. We are keeping with the only one relic. We'll talk about maybe that more in a little bit. But you'll pick your relic at
So
the
the
start of the
relic is
game. You
now-
can't sell it or change it or upgrade it. You'll pick your one relic, but then when you load into the game, you can build through your build as you would be more familiar with in Smite 1, and you can build consumables as such. I don't have starters on this list, but I might as well show it off right now too, and then we'll talk a little bit more about them in a bit.
What
But
we
yeah,
got? What we got?
starters
What
are
we got?
back. One of the most exciting new features for
Selflessness.
starters is might be seeing what's this little guy right here.
Oh yeah.
What's that?
Oh,
So
starters
now
get
have
their
a
own
starter
slot.
item slot.
We
It
have
no longer
I'm
Evans
okay with
disrupts
this.
your
I'm
6-item build. It is.
I
We are
am
now
so
fully
okay
7
with
slotted
this.
Smite to
I
God.
am so
Yeah,
okay
and
with this.
This is kind of like a best of both worlds, we think, because it still
not
lets
part of your
people
build.
have that
I mean, it's
choice
still a
at the
part of
beginning
your
of the
build.
game, which can help gods excel in different roles than maybe they otherwise would.
bad.
But you still have a lot of build diversity with where you go after that, and you can build in any direction. So we aren't taking
I'm
away
also
anything
noti-
from your 6-slot build. We're just adding another item on top of that.
So,
also
sorry, I was just
noticing-
cursing to myself because these got out of order. They were by role,
Rip.
but Chaos Row, if you're watching, double check this because
Live QA people.
these got shifted around. We were doing some resorting of the store to, items
I
are gonna be
like the
sorted by
ability to
cost
buy
of
Bluestone
ascending cost.
Pendant
Support
on
ones are cheaper.
Kukulkan.
Right now there's 2 per role, and there
see if I
is 1 upgrade per starter. Like this is still 30 unique, complicated items that we
see.
made in a month. We were
15 true damage
moving
to minions.
full
Cooking.
time,
Oh,
nonstop.
Sands of Time is a
3+
clear
designers
item. I'm
working on
okay
this,
with
and this
that.
is how
That'll
many we could get
definitely
in.
help.
So I know there was still some requests for more
That'll
starters or more
definitely
upgrades.
help.
This was the literal most we could make because we also made a shit ton of other items. We'll talk about that later though. Let's see. Consumable. I will go back over starters in a bit if we want to, but I want to talk about active items next.
This is a big one. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So with the return of the consumables, you now have a lot of hotkeys that are
Hasten fate.
not
Wait,
free
why
up.
does that say attack gods?
So
Why
with
does that say
active
attack
items,
gods?
we wanted to
hold up,
Yep.
hold up, hold up,
Yeah,
hold
so
up, hold up.
with
Okay,
the
that's just
return
a
of the
descriptor.
consumables,
That's
you
just
now
a
have a lot
descriptor.
of
We're good.
hotkeys that
We're
not
okay.
freed up.
We're cool.
With active items, we wanted to find a right balance where you have a lot more skill expression, a lot more
Up to
control, but we're
3
not like digging into the absolute
why
dregs
did that
of
say
hotkeys
that
where you're
on the
having to,
wards?
buy a Naga or like controller players are just not able to do it. So we're going to be capping to 3 active items. So when you browse an active item, you'll now see you can own up to 3 active items at once. when you buy 3 active items, you will no longer be able to buy any more active items. So we don't really let you make that mistake now. Once you bought it, you won't be. It'll be as if you couldn't afford it or you don't have the right level or whatever. You just can't buy it.
I mean, it's never been super
I'm gonna go ahead and
relevant because
buy
I've only ever bought,
Bloodforge
like 1 or
and
2, depending.
wait,
Like
I went to
2
the wrong
was
slot,
only
of
when I
course.
was
Let's see if
support.
this works yet. I bought too many items. Okay, thank God it's fixed. So when you buy a active item over here, it now puts an active ability on your ability section of your HUD, and you can really clearly see this is an active. This will help you remember. A lot of people are saying they just forget to use their actives. They want to move their HUD around, and maybe we have HUD editor coming soon. We had alternate HUDs, but like
there,
this is just
I
a
get
really
that they're trying to
clean
extend that
way to
but
do
I
this.
think I'd prefer
And
that
if you
over
buy
by the actual items.
one active item, that'll use the same
I could
hotkey
probably
as your
change it
second
in the
relic
HUD.
did on Savage, Challenger, or PC. So if you are working like this type of build with 2 consumables, a relic, and 1 active, and there's many builds like passive statted items have some stat benefits to them, so you don't necessarily want a ton of actives. This allows you to have like the same control scheme as Smite 1 if you want to, and gives you a lot more control in what your second relic type active is, and you can always buy more if you want. Did you want to add something, Alex?
No, I was just going to say, that most builds internally for most gods have like 1 active on them in our playtest,
Okay,
right?
cool.
So
all right,
if
so
you have 1 active,
basically
it
earlier
is
I was
just the same
worried.
as Smite 1 in terms of your button mapping. It's very familiar.
Oh, I'm
and
seeing a
then
little bit of a
the
glitch
other
down there.
2 button mappings basically we figured that like there's 2 really good button mappings, or excuse me, there's 3 really good button mappings, and beyond that it starts to feel bad. So none of these feel bad to hit on controller or on PC. So we are still implementing a lot of this. So you see that there's this item appeared doubly here, but we wanted to give you guys an early look at this today and make sure that we're on the right track. So
hopefully they'll fix.
I didn't have enough gold to buy the 3rd
out.
active anyway, so
like
this is
3
what you can
weeks.
see what it looks like if you had full 3 actives. Even though I did trigger a bug state. It's a known bug. It'll be fixed by the time. We're still really early out, by the way. We usually don't do the show this early for a new patch.
Yeah, we're like 2 weeks away from when we would normally do this.
But this is what it would look like if you had the 3 actives. I don't know why I'm running out of base. I'm not going to get enough gold in time. If you navigate to yet another active item. Oh, I don't have all 3 yet, but it'll turn red and tell you can't get it. Kind of like let's see, what level am I? Level 8. Okay. No, I can't really demo that right now, unfortunately. But there will be warnings, and it will prevent you from buying more actives. And you can reorder the items in your inventory to reorder the hotkeys that you want them to be on. So if I like my Bloodforge on G, it's always on G. I can just move that like that.
Hood is super duo laney.
So that is the new active system.
Yeah,
that's active system.
So we're gonna go with like a little bit into some actual gameplay stuff here. We're not going to go into the full details of everything, but there's 2 big bullet points we want to touch on today that were community feedback driven and kind of high level. So first one was starters. So bringing back starters. Starters do have stats and costs, so the initial starting gold was bumped up a little bit. Your initial starting loadout, you can still buy like a starter, a tier 1, and some potions, or like a starter and a chalice, like a lot of similar combinations you're used to. But I think you have a lot of possible interesting combinations in Smite 2 because there's some tier.
Wait. Can't stack. Next damage. 2 true damage for stack and around.
2s you can now afford, I think, which is interesting. They're really strong, and you can come back and build a starter, later if you don't need one.
Let me see the
starters also, the upgrades have level requirements. So supports.
1 bonus gold per second. Getting the assist for an enemy minion or jungle monster. Restore health and ally gods, and also buff. That's.
Are level 15 and are cheaper.
I'm gonna buy that on your beer and be
every
smack
other
your beer.
Roll is level
Okay. Enemy with basic attack.
20 and more expensive.
So it's just...
This one's cheaper. Looks cheaper.
Come on, click on Bluestone,
2150.
you fuck. Enemy gods.
Plus level 20 for non-supports. Level 15 and 1800 for supports. So. Not going to get into the details of all of these today, but most of them are, direct designs from Smite 1. Some of them have some slight
Bluestone
adjustments,
does.
like selflessness.
Selflessness is just like mini heroism. It's just a direct upgrade, like mini baby version. It's It's Pichu.
Little baby heroism.
Pikachu of
Pichu.
heroism. We didn't want
I
to bring
love
back
Pichu in
Sentinels
the
here because
games.
we're avoiding
Except Smash Bros.
AoE protections
Smash Bros.
auras.
Pichu sucks.
So we didn't want an item that was like the starter is kind of defined by that. But yeah, a couple of other things you'll notice, some things like that. You'll notice some new things, but the starters
you
are mostly
doing
what you're used to.
everything
There's
you
two per
can
roll,
just
so
to
there's
not-
pretty
Ah,
good
no!
choice
He was-
opportunities for
Hovering for like a second.
every roll,
fuck
and you
it.
can build them.
Ah! Ha ha! I got him. Save by taking an additional 40 physical damage over 2 seconds subsequent hits. Half the bonus damage for 3 seconds. Still does strength, so that's not great. Sands of Time is going to be the pick for Kukulkan. I was excited about the Blue Stone, but
them in any role you want.
I
So if you
might
want to
get
go
it.
Warrior Zax
Purely.
support kill lane in duo, you can totally
Like,
do
I
that.
might
You don't
get
have
it
to
on
build Warflag or
Cuckoo,
Selflessness. So you can just go
just
for that burst damage.
because
You can build Bluestone on mid on
it'll
on
be a little
physical
bit
characters.
of
Like there's a
physical
lot of cool things you
damage
can do.
as opposed
Yeah, we're still
to the
benefiting
magical
from our
damage, you know?
more wide open building in Smite
I don't
2.
know. I might be crazy.
But we're just now
was the
incorporating
Sands of Times
starters
2?
into that. So it's been
the
pretty neat
Sands
to
of
see what people have
Time?
done in testing so far.
True
Yeah, we'll
damage.
talk about that even more in a bit. All right, so the next big
No.
thing, high level from feedback, is the total item pool. So there was two things kind of
All right.
about this. Number one is there was a lot of Smite
Book of
2
Thoth,
items
you
that
say?
ended up just being really
Book of
close
Thoth,
to
you
Smite 1
say?
items. And that was kind of confusing to people and wasn't really like
Gain
the
stats by
newness wasn't
dealing
really
damage. What?
a benefit. The new name and new art really wasn't
Book of
doing
Thoth,
much for
what?
us. And the other one was
What's
just
that
like
do?
a lot of bread
that
and
do?
butter comfort items that people loved from
What's Book of
Smite 1
Thoth
were just
do?
not in the
Gain
game.
and
So we
Transcendence,
ported
too.
over 20 of the most popular tier 3 items of Smite 1 into Smite 2, all
interested in
between
this.
Alpha 4 and this patch.
Yes.
So we made 20 plus tier 3 items, 20 starter items, no, 10 starter items, and 10 starter upgrades. So this Smite 2
Okay.
Alpha 4 versus Smite 24/7 has plus 40 items in
Yeah.
the total item pool.
It's a big change.
Not to mention all of the
Builds.
reworks,
I can't
or
wait.
like in-place reworks due to name.
And man, percent 1 stack per 800 damage. I'm assuming that Book of Thoth will work the same way.
Gaming
Book of
conventions and
Thoth,
confusions
Transcendence.
like that.
Book of Thoth,
So I'm just going to read off
Transcendence.
this
Book
list
of
really
Thoth,
quick for what's going to be in
Transcendence.
Smite 1.
Go,
Crusher,
go.
Serrated Edge, Devourer's Gauntlet, Transcendence, Heartseeker, Book of Thoth, Spear of Desolation,
Hybrid
Soul Gem,
Cuckoo,
Doom Orb,
you
Spirit
say?
Robe, Glorious Pridwin, Prophetic Cloak, Shifter Shield, Shield of
Cuckoo
the Phoenix,
that
Void
can
Stone,
punch.
Void Shield, Berserker Shield,
gonna
Mystical
do it.
Mail,
I'm gonna do it. I
Rod
don't
of Tahiti,
care.
Genji's Guard, Gauntlet of Thieves, and Chalice of Healing.
Oh, actual
And
Gauntlet
I
of
think
Thebes?
what we've noticed
Wait, didn't
internally
we
since
already
getting
have
these
Gauntlet of
items
Thebes?
back
Well,
is
not
that
Gauntlet of Thebes
it's
itself,
made
but like
some
something
people
that worked
don't
exactly
play
like.
as often, but maybe played a lot of Smite 1, more able to explore the item system and feel a little more comfortable with it, because it's like,
Who's that?
okay,
also-
well, I know that this item is good on this character. I can build that. And then, oh, maybe I branch out and I try something new. But I'm not just completely screwing myself by building items that I shouldn't be building at all. It gives you a couple safe like waypoints in your build
Golden
where
Blade,
you know
you
a
say.
direction. And it's really made it a lot easier for people to
I
understand
like it.
and get with.
The familiarity goes a long way for
Attack
people
speed
who are
cuckoo
just,
incoming.
hopping into Smite 2, maybe had a
Gonna
chance to dig
be
into
a
the
machine
items
gun
lore
noodle. Just
really,
grab that
really
boy,
deeply, but
whop him out, and then
this new change allows people coming over from Smite 1 that are familiar with those
Oh,
items
that's gonna be
to hop into Smite 2 and immediately get a sense of, oh, okay, I know what this item does. I like
but
this
I'm
item.
gonna
I'm gonna
do
build
it.
We've also redone every starter or every
Gonna call
auto
it
build
vomit
to
spaghetti.
include starters. You will still have to pick your relic. So when you load into a match, you'll pick your auto build or manual build, and you'll pick a relic.
Oh, we haven't talked about what relics we have. Is that later or is that?
I have that in.
It is. It's next.
the next.
Okay,
bullet
sorry,
point,
sorry.
yeah.
I'm
No, you're
jumping in.
perfect segue. We have the relics in the shop just as a way to view them, and in
So it
case
seems
you
like,
click the undo
items
button
that
too
gain
much at the start of the
stacks are
game,
no
you can
longer
buy them back
on,
this
like,
way. But we have added 2 more relics as far as
minion
we're adding a
kill
bunch of fan
or
favorites to
something
the
like that. So
game.
you
You can
can't
still
really
only have
be
1 relic,
fed
but we're adding
stacks
a few
anymore.
more.
Okay.
Phantom Shell was brought in because people were saying they supports really wish they had a relic they
Aegis,
could choose
pure-
at the beginning
pure
of the game. If
beads.
they really want to hyper focus on not
So everyone
getting
doesn't
killed or
get
letting their teammate
purification
get
beads
killed.
anymore.
Because
That's
like just having
very
blink or beads or
interesting.
sunder, like all very aggressive, or like blink is just you can evade. You didn't really have a way of like if your carry is a little new and
Or
you
wait,
just want
no,
something
what?
extra to bail them out, you didn't really have an option
I'm
at level
sorry,
1.
I'm stupid,
So that's
dude.
Phantom
Pure-
Shell, and then of
Fury
course
Beads was already
Aegis
there.
in a similar regard. If you just want
Something,
to hard
Aegis.
counter some high DPS
Prevented from taking any actions except moving. Oh, so it's a
Character.
it's a little
You can now
skedaddle
start with
shield.
Aegis, and we went ahead and just went
Little
right to
skedaddle.
the highest level of upgrades. These Aegis of Acceleration, Phantom Shell. Oh no, the Winions are starting to get into the base.
Uh-oh.
It's okay. This section is almost done.
Winions,
So I
baby.
think one thing that's really important to mention about bringing back Aegis and bringing these more relics here is that no matter what, you're only going to have one relic in the game, right? So if you pick Aegis, that means you're not getting Combat Blink, which everybody knows is super OP.
beads. Yeah.
Or beads, which sometimes you just need beads in a match. Or you're not getting Shell, which Shell can be really useful. Like, you are giving up something really strong to get Aegis, and you're probably hurting yourself in some other ways, right? So Aegis is something that we wanted to bring into the game mainly because there are certain gods that have, like, almost like execute type abilities that you can't counter in another way easily. And it felt important for that type of gameplay, but you are not going to pick it every game. People are not going to have beads and Aegis every game. You're going to have beads or Aegis
I'm
or
gonna have
Blink,
Aegis
or
every game.
it's one of
I
them.
don't think
so
about
it really
things.
changes the power level of these and the decisions that you're making. So you're not going to run into a lot of Aegis. You're not going to run it. It's there more for like niche situations.
And we have a lot of really interesting balance knobs for, like, we have the blood shields, as we call them. So you can get like a personal shell and purification beads, but you can't get Aegis. And there's a big trade-off there. You can get
Oh,
the
that's
AoE
what's
beads
happening.
if you don't pick your beads relic, but that's a like pure health
Expensive item, yeah.
It's a pure health item too. It's like kind of a tank item. So it's like there are some interesting trade-offs there, and we really specifically discuss with our pro player ambassadors and our pro level employees about what combinations felt good to allow, like, have active items as a fallback relic, or some we just didn't want. Like, we didn't want you being able to get active Aegis and relic Aegis, like double Aegising. We just didn't want that, right? So
Yeah. Okay.
all right. Last thing about item building is what we're calling the simplified component system. So we're still building in the component system like in Smite 2, where when you build an item, it's going to come up from...
Oh, yeah. Still says from items, you monster. 10 penetration and increasing
components
the
that
intelligence
fuse together
gained.
as opposed to the linear upgrade
No.
tree. But we've reworked
To-
every single
to
item in the
what?
game to have a lot more clean upgrade paths. So what we've done is that every upgrade is either 2 components or just 1 component in gold. There's no more 3 components. There's no more tier 1s jumping right to tier 3s. It's all much more direct. And in most cases, you can still, if you just want to browse the tier 3s and double click stuff,
care.
that will work
I
for
was
you.
never
and won't
confused
really
by
change
it.
much. It won't mess up your inventory as much as it
Like,
did before.
You're only ever
We're
worrying
also
about,
making
like,
the tier 2 to
the
tier 3
first
upgrades a
ti-
lot
as
more
far as
meaningful.
tier
So
1
if
and
you
tier 2
own
goes, you're
both of
only
these
ever
items,
focused on
it's still
the
850
first
gold to
tier
upgrade.
1
That's on the
or
cheap
tier
side.
2 that you got.
Some of them are much more expensive. In the previous versions of Smite 2, owning both of the tier 2 items was getting you like 95% of the way there. Maybe it was just a little bit of gold more to buy, which really didn't make it feel like you got any power spike. It wasn't really noticeably different. It didn't really feel like, it felt like you might as well sit in base and wait for it to upgrade it, because you're just like, I might as well do it. It's so cheap. Or when you do finally save up for it,
Wait. Increasing metagame.
you don't get anything. So it just didn't feel as good.
Thank
so
you,
we
Book of
rebalanced
Thoth.
everything to make
Thank
the tier
you.
2 to tier 3 jump
Mwah,
much bigger.
my cuckoos needed
we
it. Mwah,
reworked
cuckoo
everything
without
to
Book
only
of
use
Thoth
round numbers.
is
So,
garbus.
for the most part, some low tier items are for stats like mana regen. That's actually mana per second, not 5 seconds. So things like that are some that we couldn't do. But for the most part, everything uses more clean numbers you're used to in both cost and stats.
Yeah,
Okay. 30%.
this is one of those things that you appreciate more when you actually
I'm
experiment
about
with it.
to do the
But
boop
you have so many
Die again.
Yeah, you have so many fewer items that clog up your inventory. It's so much easier to navigate through the trees and understand where it goes. And again, this is like work in progress, right? We have a lot of ideas for how to improve that that item tree view and make it even easier to understand going
minions.
forward. And in
Minions
the next update,
with the
we'll have even
troll.
more.
Yeah.
But this is
Minions
where we
with
were able
the
to get
troll.
to for this update, and we think it's a great improvement and it's a lot better. Please let us know when you play with it. Like, is this feeling better? Is this more on the right track? Because we don't want building to be overwhelming. It's a core part of Smite. It needs to be accessible, but we want it to have a little bit more depth and a little bit more interest to people that want to go that extra step and really try and min-max it.
There's a lot of balance benefits
Yeah.
to using the component system
Fair.
too, where we can keep stats at a consistent value across items instead of Smite 1. We're just like one power tree physical power tree had wildly different cost per power than other power tree, and it was just like there's some weird balance things that this system does better.
True.
So you also notice like when you click if I'm clicking on a tier
that.
1 here, I only can see the tier 2s it builds into instead of a bunch of like additional nonsense.
we
I
can't.
can't see right now. We're in a different view.
Oh, sorry, I didn't realize the top of my screen was cut off up there.
Yeah, okay,
go,
awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, you click on a tier 1, you can see the 2 tier 2s it builds into. You click on the tier 2, you can see the tier 3s it builds into. The previous system had a lot more mix and match and noise and things like that. So
It should have always been that way.
all right.
To be fair.
we showed the relics. We showed the
You shouldn't
we talked
click
about
on a
HUD.
tier
We have
1
another
and
HUD
see
feature we
all
want to
the
talk
tier
about. Oh, I
3s.
lost. All right, won. My Winions won. I was so busy defending my
Winions.
Can you bring
Phoenix
us back to cameras?
my Winions won.
Thank you.
Oh, good call. Thank you, Isaiah.
Oh, you're good. You're good.
We do want to show off a new screen. Let me get back in the game real quick. It'll only take a second.
Please tell me they
Practice or
removed
something,
that
yeah.
stupid
Practice is so
intro
pretty
with
now.
Pon
That's
Pon.
true. Yeah.
Jungle
And the
Practice
other
is good
guy,
this
whoever
morning.
that
I running
was.
around,
Jungle
so.
Practice
That
has a lot,
is
has a
so
lot of
annoying.
updates, too. We
Every
gotta say
time you
some
boot
things
up
for the main
Smite
section.
2,
Yeah, we
you
can't
see
spoil
you have these
everything.
two fucking
But this
absolute
next one
muffins
is
of
one more
people
UI
just
feature,
sitting
and then we're
there.
gonna talk about
Hey,
some
welcome to
God
Smite 2.
features,
This is Smite.
and
This is
then
the
we'll talk
alpha.
about a
Things
system,
are
and
going to
then
be
that'll
buggy
it
because
for
it's an
today.
alpha.
But
I
all
hope you're
these
ready
were
to
the
play.
major features that we.
I'm like, yes, I am ready to play. And if you
It's
would
what we
just
took
shut
away
up.
from your feedback after the last alpha test,
Right.
right? And we're
just because we didn't see this before, so you pick your auto build, critical, for a hunter, critical strike or penetration build, choose manual, and then here's your relic choices. You can pick whichever one you want. I like choosing combat. You can also use this to level up while holding the button or going through the abilities screen. Choose manual, and then here's your relic choices.
Hold up. What?
Combat blink for testing because I often like the movement. Okay, so the next thing we're going to look at is the abilities screen. A lot of people wanting a way to see all your abilities at a glance really quickly. You can also use this to level up while holding the button or going through a console flow that people are used to in Smite 1. That'll behave very much like it. But now you can see the whole kit at one quick glance at a press of a button.
Yeah,
Oh,
and
wait, no,
we're
you
still
can upgrade
we
it.
still have some
So-
polish to do on this screen.
So you
but we
hold
think
that,
it's,
and then you can
it's a
upgrade
nice
it by
way to
clicking.
see all of
Oh, I
your
like that.
abilities
That's
at
gonna,
once
that's
very
gonna
quickly.
make my upgrades faster.
And then you can also, as AJ said, you can level up from the screen. So if you want to push, hold down control to see the screen and then push 1, you can level up your number 1 ability that way. So, yeah.
Or it's whatever you have bound the ability to.
Right.
So you don't
Is
Dope.
show you a little summary.
just supposed to be a clear way of change your not saved per
God.
God.
This
right
is an
now.
account-wide setting.
This is an account-wide setting at the moment.
I'm
So
down with it.
we just wanted to
I
make
don't
sure that we
care.
had this in there because we got a lot of
Thank you.
feedback about it.
Thank
but
you.
it's
community feedback.
console. But
Okay, let's move on to gods.
Yeah, that was a lot of item
Per
changes.
God.
Go for some.
I don't think we'll be able to see much in the game at this point. You can probably come back to the face cams for this section, but
Okay, what are we doing?
2 big features for
What we
gods that
doing?
we're going to talk about today. The first
What we
one
doing?
is about the actual design of the gods and how they play and how they function.
This
The
is
other
what
one
we're
is just
doing.
polish and feel. So let's talk about the game design first. So all gods in Smite 2 will only deal 1 damage type. So they only deal 1 damage type in
What?
Smite 2. We're going to change that. There are more mixed damage types. So Anubis
No!
AO2 Mummy used to deal physical damage.
Boo!
That will no longer be
Boo,
the case.
boo,
Each
boo.
god will have the consistent damage out.
Boo! Boring, boring, boring. Did Elon Musk buy Smite 2? Because this is fucking boring company. Oh, come on, man. What the? I know why they did it too. It's because the average Smite player has 1.5 brain cells that they can just barely rub together. And asking that kind of player to look at a god and be like, well, I know this god's abilities, or just to know what a god can do, is just too much. They gotta be like, okay, that god is the physical, so I gotta buy the physical item. That's good. I gotta buy the magical item. Not the, okay, so Bacchus on his burp does this, on his flop does this. That's... Stop dumbing things down for
You
dum
can
dums.
still look at Neith and go, oh, that's a physical god. If Neith is building
Boo.
int ability Neith or ADC strength Neith, either way, that's a physical god. You know to
Don't
build
make
physical
stuff
protections. You
for
know how to counter that
stupid
god. And
people.
you can recognize that much more easily based on what you're used to from Smite 1.
You should
So that's the
never,
first change.
never balance
That'll
things
affect
around
any
stupid
god that
people.
had mixed damage outputs.
yeah. But just to be clear, you still will be able to build strength or
Or
int
intelligence.
for different scalings. So the building still has that element. It's just it'll be more easy to understand what type of damage a god is going to be doing to you.
Right. So any god can still build any item. So if you like, for example, on her as a full strength
I hate
god,
this.
he
I
only
hate
does
this.
physical
I
damage.
hate
But if you want to build
this.
Chronos
I
Pendant
hate
for like some
this.
crazy cooldown build or whatever, sure, you go for it.
I hate
so
this.
Gods will be split into 3 groups for their scaling types. They'll have 100% strength scaling, 100% int scaling, or hybrid gods that could have int and strength scaling. So most of this is not going to change. Gods like Chalk can build int or strength to.
Okay, so the reason I really don't like that this change is because if you had like a list of gods that have their abilities can do either or, sure, there's one or two, not one or two, but there's more than a few gods who only did physical or only did magical. But having like that hybrid ability, some abilities doing magic, some abilities doing it never got it. You could pick basically whoever you wanted. Now it's going to be like Smite 1, where you look at it and you can and like your team builds all physical gods. Oops. The opposing team is going to just build one physical defensive item and roll you every team fight. Before you could, so that's going to lead to players being like, "Hey, you need to pick this god for this role. I mean, not this god, but you need to pick this type of god for this role. You can't do this. We got to split it. You got to split it. It crushes down variability in play, which is awful. I hate it. Turn it back."
Scale their ability damage.
Turn it back.
But gods like on her are going to be
Stop
100%
dumbing it down.
strength. God Anubis is now just going to be 100%
Boo.
int. There's no more build a little strength to mess with a hard-hitting mummify. That's not a thing anymore. The only exception to that is everyone still has the same basic attack rules. So you can still build strength on any int god and try to build like a meme ADC build. You can't do the inverse, right? Strength gods don't have any use for int. So you'll have to look at each god, and we'll be working on getting some more clear labels about who's intended to be only strength, only int, or who's hybrid. Tanks are going to get a bunch of unique protection scaling abilities on their abilities. So we're going to be adding to all of the tank characters. They'll be able to get some sort of improved utility effect, potentially a damage effect, or other effects in their kit from building more protection.
You remember
so
the 3 tank meta?
Scale up, and that's going to be really.
I
unique.
remember the 3 tank.
And then to facilitate item building and making it really smooth for all these changes, we're going to be merging physical and magical penetration into just one stat, penetration. So now we don't need to have
I'm okay with
physical pen.
I'm okay
and
with that. Just
magical
building
pen
an
in
item with
every
pen.
combination, which was just getting like nonsensical. Or really limiting to certain builds. So every item will just give you penetration, and you can build that in any combination of strength and int very easily. And you
any item that gives you penetration
in the store while I was playing earlier. If you go back and look, you'll notice there was just one penetration filter in every strength or int pen. So you can double filter. So just filter to int plus pen or strength plus pen, depending on what you need. Or if you're a hybrid god, you can build one of each. Like Neath mid might actually want builds like that.
Yeah, I think it's really good because it keeps a lot of what we liked about the old system. It just makes it easier to understand, and it also makes
it makes it easier to understand for very dumb, stupid people. It does not improve the game.
It's easier to predict what kind of
it locks people down more. It reduces variability. It builds.
It's easier to understand
God picks.
how many
you are wrong.
How much
you're an idiot.
And all that. So
stop it.
All right.
Shut up.
So next thing is God Polish. It's going to be harder to show off anything like this today because it's really
serious polish.
You won't notice it until you really have the character
get some
in your hands and are playing on your home setup
to make up
but
for
we're
that
taking the
dumbass
feedback about how a god
made.
feels and plays and what's wrong with them from Smite 1 to Smite 2.
Let's
really
go.
Seriously.
Let's go.
So
3-turret Vulcan.
Susano is
3-turret Vulcan.
Here. I'm just going to rattle
every
off
ability
some of the
slaps a
things
turret
we've done
down, and the
to
ultimate
Susano
it busts your
since
turrets.
his feedback in Alpha 4. Basic attacks adjusted the post-fire time of hit number 3 to match Smite 1. AO ability 1 now has a shorter pre-fire time
really
to better match the animation.
I really
ability
hate
1
that
now has
phrase.
adjusted animation blend that
like
will
Smite
make
1
the
is
animation
not a phrase you should have in your mouth
AO1
at
now
any
hits
time. This is
knocked up
Smite
targets.
2. It's not Smite 1.
AO1 is now a true sweep attack. It was just a instant attack. It will update the hit area to be more correct and highlight targets correct. updated the radius by 0.5 meters to make it more accurate to Smite 1. Updated the
Stop.
the animations to now.
No one likes
have
Smite
no
1.
blend time,
I don't
so they
like
really
Smite 1.
snap
Stop
really
with the
closely
Smite
together
1
in the
talk.
combo first.
I don't want to hear
some
anything
animations
else
we
about
want
Smite
to
1.
blend out to idle, but
You better
these
stop.
ones are fired really rapid succession or your in-hand canceling between, so we removed that. Ability 2, we updated the cone size to better match Smite 1. We the Susanoo's ability 2 is not an we removed blends on knocked up characters who were pulled. Facts were all updated to better match the ability. List on every god.
Yeah, and to be clear, not was that we needed to be sure that we were closer to 1-to-1 on some of these field things from Smite 1 to Smite 2, where we hadn't previously gotten as much of that kind of feedback.
Stop.
So we're going to be going back through and hitting them kind of rolling wave, kind of like we were talking about the
brain
card
is
art
fading
before.
faster
So,
than your hairline.
you're going to see some of these
Stop it.
gods get changes this time, some that we haven't gotten to yet. We'll get it next deal. And in some ways, they are in certain ways worse than
Dropsy.
Smite 1 feels. We're addressing that.
Dropping
Sorry,
the
production
mouse.
team. Yeah, we want to make them feel all of the parts
Why
that
is
you
your
love about
mouse
Smite
there?
1
Okay,
feel as
no,
good
it
or
was just-
better, plus all of the new plus
Yes.
ones in the kit, right? So if we want to hop in Gamer Home, show you a few things for our next two items. So the next two items in our note is a visual effects clarity pass and impact pass, and an audio clarity pass and theming pass, I would say. So this is not done for all the gods either, but is in progress. Ymir is one of the ones who's most furthest along. So his abilities, we don't have a before and after to show you here, but all of his effects have been updated since Alpha 4, specifically to make them easier to see in a combat sense. So there was just maybe a bit too much going on, some really bright colors, hard contrasts, things that maybe work well in a more cinematic situation. But if we're trying to battleground of the gods here, we need to know what's going on better. And this also helps performance by doing a very tight look at these and keeping the parts we need the most. So Ymir and every other god will be getting a full audit for excessive effects,
Sounds like another
flashing
Dum
things
Dum
that can be
improvement.
disorienting or fatiguing, clarity issues with mismatching sizes or timings, or just
Oh, okay.
overly
No,
artistic
no, that's
elements
just-
that weren't
that is
contributing to the
just what
clarity.
they're saying.
They
That's
used
just
to have
polish.
just a lot of really bright white areas, which looked really good and really icy in isolation. But the more you saw it in the span of a fight with a lot of other bright effects, it was overwhelming. The game was yelling at you. Combat,
To be fair,
and
you're
not
not
be
really
so
seeing your
overwhelming on
abilities
things that don't
or
need
your
to be
ability.
overwhelming. That's
So love worth also doing a wide range clarity pass for hit and single. Still got
sound. The kindly less you work
minions to make sure they be agilitative.
those.
Characters with leaps. Before there was an issue where minions would just run away from you whenever you go in the air, and it'd make it hard to clear. And that's being
Yeah,
reverted to
AI issue.
more.
Alex, you want to set us up for the next one?
So, one of the other really big features that we're going to have in Closed Alpha 1 is God progression, God mastery, right? So, when you're playing a game, it's almost
God
great to feel like you have something
passes.
to play for, right? And one of my first
thank
objectives when I started
you.
playing Smite back
I
in the day
actually
before I
will
worked
earn
here,
something
was
when
I'm
I'm
gonna get
playing
every
this
god's mastery
game
level 1.
relentlessly.
You know, that's like my goal. And
We
you know,
can
we
like learn me and get
Sorry,
everything.
what?
and one of my first objectives when I started playing Smite back in the day before I worked here was I'm going to get every god's mastery level 1. Trying for
Oh,
and to
okay.
see you're making progress as you're playing the game is really important.
Okay, cool. Yeah,
So-
no, I'm
so
happy
we
with
wanted to get
this.
that system
I'm
in for
okay with
24/7
this.
alpha. But we know that the way that mastery
Getting
works in Smite 1
something
has
for
a lot of things that are
playing
really good
is
about it, and a lot of things that are
good.
kind of like
I like it.
So one of the
I
things
like
that's
it, I
really
like
great
it, I
about
like it, I
Smite
like
1
it, I
is
like
that
it, I like it,
it's
I
this
like it.
endless keep getting stars. You
Unfortunately,
can always make more progress
that
and show how devoted
it's
you are to your god,
probably
right?
going to
One thing that's bad is that
reset
you really
on
don't
actual
get
release.
anything for mastering your god
That'll
other
suck.
than numbies going up, right? You get the ability to purchase 3 mastery skins. That is what you get in Smite 1.
Those are
Mastery
pretty
level 1,
cool.
Mastery level 5, Mastery level
Don't
10.
knock the mastery
Which
skins.
is
I
not
like
really
them.
great. So with Smite 2, we wanted to look
Choose
at
your
that
next words
progression
carefully,
and
balding
how
man.
can we make that feel more rewarding, give more rewards, more interesting rewards, and make it something that's kind of a fun
interested.
experience as you go from 1 to 10 with each god. So because of that, we've introduced Ascension Passes, which if you have bought a
Of course, Ascension Pass.
Ultimate or what's the mid-level one called?
Deluxe.
Deluxe Founders Edition, you've already purchased.
Of
some
course,
these,
he only
so
knows the
hopefully you're
highest
excited
tier
about what you see
name.
here.
'Cause that's the one
But
you're
yeah,
selling
so
to people,
basically,
isn't it?
As you're playing each god, you'll progress along kind of like a mini battle pass track as you gain worshippers, just like your
battle
mastering
passes
Battle
are
1, you'll be able
okay.
to see it
You
better.
just have to not
And
abuse
you'll
them.
unlock new rewards, including a lot of new kinds of rewards, which are really exciting and lets you personalize your representation of your character a lot more than you could in Smite 1.
Are we talking to like
So
little
I think
equipment
that's
bits
a
that you can
decent
put
little
on?
Spiel before we go to the screen. Anything that
Are
I
we
should
gonna
talk
get,
about
like,
before we see the screen?
Customizable gods?
We'll look at the screen and you can go ahead and keep walking us through whatever you'd like to.
Okay,
I've
so
got it pulled up right now.
let's look at the screen. Okay, so this
shadow.
is the screen.
Shadow usage.
As you'll notice, there are both free
down
and
with
paid rewards on the track at different levels. One thing to call out right away is that we've
That's a lot of
rebalanced the
gems.
way that you progress through this, where it's going to take the same amount of worshippers to get from
That's a lot
mastery
of
level
gems that's
0 to
giving you.
mastery level 10, but you're going to get to mastery level 5 more quickly, so you'll get the first 5 tiers of rewards much more quickly. Now, if we can go to the free reward for level
so
1,
you get the free. Okay,
you're gonna get
I'm not
the
mad
clap
at this.
emote for free now as part of just leveling up your god.
Hey,
So, and
let
if you go to
the
level
salt
7
flow,
well, I'll come back to that in a
baby.
second. If you go to level 7, you're gonna get the wave emote for free just for leveling up your
I'm
god.
happy with
and
it.
keep in
I
mind,
like it. I
you
like
also
it.
just get the
Cool,
voice
cool,
pack
cool.
for every god just free by default in Smite 1, so you don't have to buy those ever.
Right.
Now, at the bottom, you also
mean
note
Smite
there's
2.
like times 10 diamonds. Diamonds are the new premium currency in Smite 2. So what we had gems in Smite 1, in Smite 2 we have diamonds. So you're going to earn, as you play through, I believe the number is 225 diamonds on the free track.
That's a lot of diamonds.
I
That's
like
a
that.
lot
of
of
diamonds
just
for
I like
playing
that.
a god for free.
That's like a small
And then
skin,
on the pay
or
track
like if you
at level 10, you will also get
Considering how many-
225 diamonds. That's spoiler on the Radiant skin. So you'll get 450 diamonds just by playing through this. If you get to level 10 with your legacy gems, that's enough to basically go infinite if you buy one of them for free. But you know,
Cool,
you
this,
still be using legacy
there
gems,
you go.
right? The other thing, just because I'm into pricing right now, and everybody's had because this leaked, because Rally
Hey,
here
Smite fans.
a little bit of
Mix
this
it
leaked
up.
at least, because Rally here posted a blog.
Excited to let you know. Get on.
Teased, whatever. Unintentional tease, I think is the best way to say it. So you see that this is showing that it costs 450 diamonds and 450 legacy gems. If you didn't have legacy gems, it would be 900 diamonds for this. And this is the way almost every purchase in Smite 2 will work and will look for you. If you have legacy gems, it will be half price. Half of the price will be legacy gems. Half of the price will be diamonds.
Hey, Smite fans. I'm excited to.
Stop it.
There are also going to be certain skins that we are porting from Smite 1. I think it's only going to be one in this closed alpha patch because we decided to give the other one away free as a Twitch drop.
Ascension
spoiler.
passes for first
hell yeah.
23 alpha
But
gods. Okay.
that you will be able to spend 100% legacy gems on. So you're going to be able to get stuff just with your legacy gems. Don't worry about it.
Also, look how he has
we're
like
gonna
a
be keep-
million
we're gonna keep
legacy
dropping more and
gems.
more skins.
I'm
that
gonna
are
have that
ported
number.
Smite
I
1
have
classic
spent
skins that you can get for
so
legacy
much
gems.
money on Smite
So you need
in
both
my life.
450
I'm
diamonds
so
and
happy
450 legacy
they're
gems
giving us
or
that.
900 diamonds. Now, the question in everybody's mind, because you're used to Smite 1 currency pricing, well, how much is a diamond? So the currency in Smite 2 diamonds works a little bit differently than Smite 1 because Smite 1
getting a
had some
bunch.
issues. The currency value scales really hard in Smite 1, harder than any other game, where it's a dumb idea to not buy the $100 pack. And no offense to people who have not bought who've bought cheaper packs. I've bought cheaper
he's
packs
right.
myself
He's
before
right. I
started
would
working
buy
here.
$100 packs.
But the
lot of the
exchange
time.
rate is just so much better if you buy the $100 pack that it feels bad when you're like, oh, I'll just drop $8 or whatever and get 400 gems.
Like,
So
there
we
was a
wanted to
time where
flatten
every
out the currency
paycheck I
curve
would buy the
across,
100,
the
the 100
from
or
$5
$100
to
pack.
the $100 pack. So it's
Multiple
less of a
times
bad
in a
idea
row.
to buy a smaller pack. And
My
by doing that,
legacy
we also just
gems
kind of
will
had to
never run
jumble
out.
the numbers around a little bit. So the two price points that I've memorized in my head, which I will share with you today. So for $10, you will get 1,300 diamonds. For $100, you will get 16,000 diamonds. So the very rough way of thinking about it, since it's $100 was 8,000 gems, it's 16,000 diamonds. So it's like kind of twice as much, but it's a bigger difference for smaller prices because $8 was 400 gems and it's, and $10 is 1,300 diamonds. So the prices should
Okay.
be much more accessible without needing to spend a lot of your money to get to.
I'm gonna guess that this is because they're gonna have a lot more cosmetics.
Any Founders Pack, your legacy gems are doubled. So we aren't trying to devalue your currency by changing the prices like this. You're getting as close to one-to-one value as we can do, and we're also giving you all of your free gems that you got for daily login bonuses in Smite 1, and those are also doubled if you buy any Founders Packs. So that was probably more currency talk than I really wanted to get into, but I know that the first thing everybody's brain goes to is like, what's this going to cost me, right? And I think that this is, we're trying to be as fair and as cost effective as we can be on this kind of stuff.
Smallest
and I think
pack
being
is
able
10.
to go infinite,
cheaper than a lot of other competitors.
Still cheaper than a lot of things, and I think very
you're gonna get about 3
competitively.
mastery passes.
Like the fact that you can go infinite on these with just legacy gems is pretty good. So back to the actual contents of this, because I'm sorry I went off on this tangent that I was supposed to go off on later. So what else do you get when you buy in? If you buy an Ascension Pass, on the break, you get the Shadow Skin. You get, can you go back to the full screen on the production? Can you go back to full screen on the, yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
So you get the Shadow Skin, which is pretty sweet, I think. Kind of inspired by the Shadow Skins that we used to do for clans in Smite 1.
I like Shadow. I like the Shadow Skins.
A epic tracker. So these are really cool, and you get a mastery emote. So I'll talk about the mastery emote first, actually, because so now. Oh, okay. We'll talk about the tracker. Fine. So
you can talk about whichever one you want, Alex. I'm sorry. I just like this tracker too much to not.
As you do things in Smite 2, we are going to track them, and you can show them on your loading card to everybody. So as an example, you're spoiling. You're spoiling. You can say, okay, I'm showing how many times I got an enemy to max stacks of Storm's Edge ever in playing the game, and how many God kills I have gotten on Susanoo. So people can see your progress and your stats.
I like that. I can show everybody my 4 kills on KukulCon.
You got to rush to.
I'm happy about it.
You're not going to lose these things. And each god has
we're gonna have frames.
2 really kind of like custom things related to their play style. So like
kind of sad because
has like
we're
a
not getting
chains one,
individual
and
equipments.
a god stunned with no escape, with your ultimate.
There's a reason why it would be way too. It can never be like Mortal Kombat where you can make these bonkers, weird-looking characters.
You have traveled
because that would just be too much.
So how many miles have you gone in your life while you've been playing Susanoo using your jet stream and using your
maybe in Smite 3
your storm content?
But
that ability. And each god has different ones. They're really kind of interesting, and you can show off your own stats, which we think is really kind of cool. And then you also get this master emote. So the master emote, just kind of like VXG or one of those other inputs that you can do. You put in a VGS input, and you will be able to show everybody in your match, look at me, I'm mastery level 10 with 30 diamonds. Or 30 stars, sorry. So you can flex on people in game and show off your mastery level in game.
God, I'm gonna get in matches where like the first week of the alpha 24/7. I'm gonna jump in like day 2, day 3 or something, and I'm gonna get matched with like a fucking Loki who has 9,000 god kills, and I'm gonna be like,
or this god
forever.
Yes.
Okay.
So we want to make sure that it wasn't so much that it made like the grind feel meaningless, but just a little bit extra boost. We thought felt nice.
There's no boosters in Smite 2 at this point. There's no team boosters.
I like it. I like it. Getting a little bit here, getting a little bit there.
Effectively get those.
It makes masteries worth it.
We also thought that if you are giving us some money because you want the things on this track, we want to make sure that it's a little bit easier to get through the track and get the things on the track. So
that's the summary for
when you buy it. Okay, so level 1 you get the clap.
Let's do like all the free rewards.
Okay. So level 1 you get the clap. Level 10 diamonds. Level
phrasing there, Alex.
Yes, thank you.
You get the clap.
Level 3 you get a god assist tracker, and this is every god gets a god assist tracker here, and 20 diamonds. Level 5 you get the Onyx skin free and 30 diamonds, and remember, we've made it a lot easier to get from 0 to 5 than it was in Smite 1. I think you said it was about as hard as it was to get to mastery level 3 in Smite 1.
Well, yeah, getting to level 1 and calling that mastered just kind of felt weird, and like showing off a skin because you got a god to level 1. It's congrats, man. So what made it a little steeper, a little harder? Like this is where you can actually start showing off that you've actually got some mastery on the god. This felt a lot more fair.
I also
we tuned
love
it a
how
little
that
bit
looks.
to
Like
just
that little
ease the
star
curve here,
cape
but
going
yeah.
on.
Now you'll have to get to level 5 before you can actually start
The little
swagging on this
little
god.
bits,
And then at
like
rank
the
7,
little,
you'll
the little
get your
sparkly
wave
bits
and
on
40
the
diamonds.
actual blade.
At rank 9, you will get the God Kills tracker and 50 diamonds. And at rank 10, you will get your God Mastery badge and 75 diamonds.
And these rewards are these free rewards are very. The system here is pretty much the same for all the gods, right? So you're going to get the
Show
same.
me the premium
emotes at
stuff.
the same level and the
Show
same gems
me
for
the
all of the
preem.
gods. They're not radically different. The cosmetics are
me the
tuned to better fit
premium.
the character, but there's no like
Give
giant
me the
mix-up in these. So
preem.
if you are wanting to go grind Anubis really hard when you
yawn.
get into
It's very
Smite
late.
2, it's going to be it's going to be the same
is.
types of rewards, the same levels. It's going to be the same gem kickbacks,
1
the same
a.m.
levels. This
I
if you
should
see
be
someone
in bed
sporting
right
this
now.
badge, it means they got to level 10.
Yep.
On any god, because every god's going to have one of these at level 10. It's
And
very
I noticed the adjust.
system-driven
You're
in
gonna
that
be
way.
able to
And
like put
trackers
them wherever
are
you want, like little
tied to the
stickers.
god, so you
I
can't
hope
show
so.
like your Susanoo God kills while you're playing as Anubis, but you can show like your badges and some of these other
That's
things
good.
that will show
That'd
you
be
on other
fun.
gods, so people can
Go
see,
like
oh, this guy
grind
has
God kills
Susanoo
an
in rank
arena
10, but he's
on
playing
like
Loki right now.
some broken god that's super
So
easy to
then
get them,
in
and then
the
show
paid
up with like
rewards
a
you get,
another
Ymir
tracker.
these things as soon
with
as you buy,
10,000
Yep.
god kills.
Then at level 2 you get
Level 2, you get a Objectives Destroyed tracker. At level 4, you get one of the more custom trackers that's different for each god.
Okay.
At level 5, you will get the Opal skin, which this skin I think looks the most different from god to god. And on some gods, it looks really awesome. On other gods, I still think it looks awesome, but it looks very different, right?
it's a little darker and
It
cool.
has
sleeker. On this
smaller,
one, it's more
a
purple
smaller
and pink and
impact
sparkly
on
on some other
gods, is what you
characters.
should have
Yeah,
said.
on some gods you really can feel like the opalescence to it, and on other gods it's more like just kind of the color
like
scheme.
it.
But
I
it's kind of a
like
neat
it.
theme we're experimenting with. And then
Every skin has been tested to hide these crazy effects.
like
and
that you
make
get
sure
the shadow
beads,
aura.
material shows up. By the way,
yeah, and then you also sorry, keep going to the next one.
we're really excited about these.
Yeah, so these are awesome. So
fast,
global emotes
boy!
are just like way cooler than they were on Smite 1. And
You cannot
we
comprehend
have this,
how fast I am.
Gotta go fast.
Naruto
Susanoo
run.
here, yeah, little Naruto run.
Chat says weeb run.
Yeah, we run.
run.
And each god has
Oh,
their
I'm so
own
happy about
custom
this.
kind of global emote here that
Okay.
you can unlock.
All right, I'm
and
gonna
then those can be
forgive
used across any
the
god
serious
once they unlock.
transgression
We really leaned into
of
the memes for
dumbing
these.
down the
Yeah,
We
gods,
won't show them all today.
the,
but
Almost
the
too hard
damage
sometimes, but you know,
splits.
that's the right way to do it, I think.
But
And then
because this is
at
just
level 8,
awesome.
You will get a title related to that god. Most of these are related to
Oh.
the god's actual title.
Sometimes shortened a little bit
I
for character.
swear to God, if
And then
Kukulkan's
at,
is
Master level
not
10,
Mighty
You
Storm,
will get the Radiant skin along with card effects, which are really cool. So it's kind of like a loading frame.
and a big
but
batch of diamonds.
It's this, yeah, and 225 diamonds. So this really neat.
wait, hold up. Let me. Okay, so 50, so 100, 150.
Like, it's not.
So 150. So 225 on the normal.
It's kind of like a loading frame, but it's not. It's all driven
And
through
at 10,
FX.
do you get
And
the
they
you get
just look
another?
so smooth and so slick. Like
225?
the Ares one in particular.
There's
with,
no
like,
way they're
there's,
gonna
like,
give you
chains that are weaving through it.
550.
Like, they're
Or
very
no, not
cool.
500,
So
450.
hopefully people are, really like these and are excited about the opportunity to really kind of.
There's no way they would give
give
450 when that's how much it
show
costs.
off, with your own personal style.
Yeah, I talked about it a little bit earlier, but just to reiterate, each of your loadouts are unique per god. So I can set up whatever combination of badges, trackers, title, frame I want for Susanoo. And
Okay,
it'll
so there's
save.
little stickers.
But
You can
then
put, you
when
can
I
put your
switch
little
gods
stickers.
of production, if you want to hide my cam just real quick.
I
while
like the
switch gods
Ajani.
to avoid any
Not a
spoilers.
Johnny. God, I've been playing
And
Magic
while
too
he's doing
much.
that, I'll mention
You can toggle
The
back
on her.
there is also a badge here. Yeah, see, this is the Ares.
smug on her.
Oh,
I see the
geez,
night
it looks
guy.
A
so good.
couple of things
That
are still
upper
working
right.
through some bugs. So like I
That
do have
upper
a
right.
second tracker here equipped, but it's
This
like
guy.
hiding sometimes when it's not supposed to. But
Really
now, when
curious
I
to know who
play
this emo looking
Ares,
motherfucker is.
So the card art behind will always update
Also,
to the
smug
the
on
skin
her
you're playing,
beautiful,
and the
and I love-
god load, and it'll match the loadout. So you set your loadout for each god,
I'm gonna have
then you
this
play
guy
any
on every god.
It'll pick that god's loadout and then update the card art to that
Also,
skin. And
holy
yeah, as we already mentioned, like these will be updated to the
Oh,
new illustrated
is
card
the
art, not the renders
frame
eventually as well. Like this
unique?
is all going to use the same art there. It's
Oh,
just
I
we don't
hope
have
the
that art
frame's
yet.
unique. Yeah,
And,
it has to be.
One other thing I will
It's
mention
not
is that
just
there
like a
is,
frame
we
for that
mentioned this
guy.
when
It's a
we announced
unique
Divine Legacy.
frame of that
but there
god.
is a badge that you will be able to equip that shows off your Smite 1 mastery level on that god. I don't think it's working in PTS today.
I don't think so. I had it on one god, but I have a 1-star, 2-star Ares on Smite.
Yeah, so it just looks exactly like the Smite 1 mastery area with, you know, the Roman numeral and the stars. So we wanted to let you kind of pay homage to the time and, you know, effort that you put into Smite 1 and your accomplishments
this
there.
feels like a trading card when I'm looking at it.
Be able to flex
like you
a
get
little
to put
bit.
your
So,
stickers on there. It's got whatever stats you want. I like it. I really, really like it. I'm gonna have one. I might print one out at some point and just like fix it.
Various tier 5s
for whatever my favorite god is. Probably
skins if you collected them. The various Smite season
I want
ranked
the whale.
achievements, playing enough matches from those to get them. Here's the tier 5 ones. So you can really, even though you're in Smite 2, you can still show off a lot of this unique things. And these will not be attainable any other way than owning these assets in Smite 1.
Yep. So through the Divine Legacy, if you look at that screen in Smite 1, it explains how you get all this stuff and what your progress is. So definitely.
I wonder if they're gonna bring any of the tier 5s.
I think
Smite
that's everything.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Like outside of like, we're gonna show you. Obviously, you'll be able to see whoever's in the flash tests and stuff. We'll probably start posting these emotes because the memes are really
I like
good.
the spicy.
And start taking a look at some of these other skins, and you know, I think they look really cool. But yeah, that is the system.
Yeah, I will say one just kind of last thing because we were talking about Divine Legacy.
Click the Opalescent. Click the I want to see the
There's
Opalescent.
the skins that are in Divine Legacy as well that are kind of cross-gen, or not even cross-gen, but you just get in Smite 2 for completing Divine Legacy stuff.
Okay, I like so much.
You know, we're rolling those out kind
So
of as
much
quickly as we can while staying focused on making a great game. So you should get those relatively quickly for most gods after they are released, but probably not in the same update that a god releases. So just to set expectations, because I don't want people to be like, well, I unlocked this thing. It's like, you're going to get it. We're going to do it. We're working on them all, but sometimes it's better for us to ship those a little bit after the god releases to make sure that everything's fine with the god. We don't have to go back and redo stuff.
Oh, the Ascension pet. Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot more to show.
Actually,
off in
I
this
like
update.
that
Like, the
because
front-end
like if
UI
God
has a
releases
complete
and it's
visual
like
overhaul.
broken
Right.
or
We're talking
you
about
don't like
ranked
how it
systems. We're
released,
gonna talk about
you
new
can take
conquest
it back
objectives.
in
We're
that
talking about new
time,
gods.
and
We
people
got a
haven't
lot. We're gonna
spent
maybe talk about
money
some more
on the
forward-facing
god.
plans for after the first 24/7
You know?
launch on the main patch notes. We can go over any specific item changes or balance changes, but those are the big things that we wanted to get to today.
So you don't have to go through and do like
the
a
community asked for.
refund.
I just want to
master
for
refund or something.
like closure. I just want to go over the high level list again.
yeah,
For
list
anyone
them
who
off.
came late, I had chat was spamming me during the loadout view of card art change. It's like, yo, you must have been late because yes, we already talked about
Yeah,
that.
we are going back to illustrated card arts, but we're updating them all to be even
But
cooler.
these look so awesome, by the way, and you can display them on the loading frame. And when you load into the match, you can mix and match them with any god,
Is
any
that
style.
Cuckoos?
I think so.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's good.
Each of them are themed around a god really
Oh.
specifically. So I was supposed to demo some of these, but yeah, they're really cool. All right, so
Oh,
the things
I
we talked about
love
today
it.
were
I
illustrated
love
card
it.
art returns,
I love
environmental
it.
overhaul for style and fantasy, performance updates, item store changes including
10 out of
starter
10.
items returned, consumables returned, active
10
item 3 slotting,
out of 10.
starter upgrades, 20 plus of the most popular Smite 1
Delicious.
items, roughly 2 to 3 per roll returning. Adding 2 more new relics, simplified component building, and simplified component building actually required us to like pretty much rebalance the entire item store. So you probably won't get like change list patch notes for plus or minus strength or whatever because everything had to be rebalanced. HUD, clarity, and aesthetics along with the new ability screen or K screen as PC players are used to calling it. Simplified damage typing for gods, single damage type output as well as gods being specified into 100% strength, 100% int, or hybrid scaling types. Big polish passes on all of the previous alpha gods, which we exampled through Susanoo, but many other gods are doing similar changes. And we also are doing the visual effects for clarity pass and impact, the audio clarity and revert for Smite 1 iconic sounds, and game design updates regarding minion knockback AI and grouping to match Smite 1 and ascension passes. So
Yeah.
whew,
It's a lot.
yeah.
A lot of stuff. Looking at chat, it seems like people are generally excited about stuff, which is great to see. I will say, I see a couple people
I'm
asking
excited
about
to get
favor.
this stuff. I'm excited to
since I
earn
talked about other
stuff.
currency, I guess I should talk about favor a little bit too.
Yeah, why not?
So we are not going to have a free grind currency, favor equivalent at the beginning of Smite 2. Right now, we're focused on we're making the core game, we're making it great, and there's not a lot to actually spend
How
that
are you
currency
going to
on
get
if you were to
gods?
grind it out.
Many ways to earn free diamonds, though.
There are many ways to earn
those
free
will have
diamonds.
value
Yes.
forever.
Yes, and you will be getting there's an early version of daily login rewards that will be in Closed Alpha 1 that will give free diamonds.
Cool.
There's going to be other ways to get
And
free diamonds.
mastering any god will get
Mastering any god will give you free diamonds. So there will be ways to get diamonds, but we don't have this kind of favor equivalent currency yet. We're expecting that something like that will be added when we get closer to free to play, because we kind of have this bigger plan for a system that we aren't really ready to talk about yet that is tied in with that. So hopefully that will be exciting when we get there, but for now it's not there. The question that's going through most people's minds then is, well, if I get in with a free code, then how do I unlock
Keep
gods?
your secrets.
good point.
What we're going to be doing for the short term is all gods will be on free rotation so that you can play them, except for the gods in the most recent patch, which will be reserved for God Pack holders or Founders Edition owners.
Founders owners.
Yeah, so
Because you can't buy the god individually even at this point, right? It's Founders Pack or...
Yes, yeah, it's just
or free
it's,
rotation.
Okay.
Yes. So during this early beta, or excuse me, early alpha, we want people to have access to a lot of the gods so that we can see performance and not be kind of railroaded through that early progression.
Feedback,
Yeah, we want the feedback. So we thought it was better. Just they're all unlocked for everybody except for the most recent gods. And if you want to play the most recent gods, you can either get one of the Founders Editions, which we still think are a pretty great value.
And we will be doing upgrading Founders Editions. Will that be ready for this update?
Yes, upgrading Founders Editions will be available.
Okay,
Want to upgrade?
But if we want to show on screen really quick,
Yeah, go for it.
I think it'll be safe to show. There is a simplified profile section here, and you can choose any badge to be your avatar. So we're not going to have two different cosmetics for something that's essentially the same thing.
I'm down
So
with it. I'm
if
down
you
with it.
have
I'm
Archon
down with it.
Thanatos, from Smite 1, which is hard to get, you can set Archon Thanatos as your avatar,
There's gonna
and
be
it
so
just
many
looks sick.
Archon
I mean, I'm a big
Thanatos.
Subic fan. Subic was my first played god in Smite 1.
Really?
First level. Yep, first mastered. He was all of closed beta. I only played Subic pretty much, supported for my teammates. And so I've equipped the earliest version of this.
Earliest version of
Really
this screen.
a cup in Smite 2.
Right? And we think it's important that you guys have the the option to keep playing Smite 1, to keep accessing all your stuff there. Or if you're really into what we're doing with Smite 2 and you want to jump over, then cool. We're happy to have you. So Smite 1's not going anywhere. We are, we're hoping that over time more and more people decide they want to move to Smite 2 because we're doing the right things and it's just a better game. Because that's the goal. We just want to make a better game than Smite 1. But yeah,
Like
Smite
a lot
1's
of
gonna
people
be there,
are
and especially if you're
die-harding
stuck
on
an
Smite
older-gen
1
console
right
and can't
now,
play Smite 2,
and it's
we're
just,
happy to have you keep playing
Smite 1
1
is a
as long as
terrible game.
You're having fun and
Like
slamming
in
the
its
queues and
current
battleground of the
state,
gods.
Smite
So-
1 is bad.
All right, gentlemen. Well, that wraps it up for us today. Thanks so
All
much
right.
for taking out
All right, I don't need to listen. Well, actually,
the time. 24/7 Alpha, August 27th.
August 27th. Yeah,
I
big
guess
day
they're
for
I guess they're not showing that guy. It's kind of fucked. I don't like that.
us.
Oh well, but yeah, the dev insight. I guess we'll get a patch note. I'm gonna guess not next, maybe a week and a half from now. Hopefully, let's see. Tomorrow's Friday. Not next. Yeah, no, 2 weeks. It'll be 2 weeks at least. Probably will be 2 weeks. I'm super excited. I'm super hyped for these cosmetics. Like the Mastery Pass is everything I wanted it to be. It's like if it does because it looked like you got the big lump sum at the end, as well as the little bits as it went. So I'm hoping that they are giving you all of that. The 225, and it's just going to combine, and you'll just be able to buy a Ascension Pass with Legacy Gems plus that 450, master a god all the way, and then just be able to kind of hop to another god with it. It's beautiful. It's wonderful. I love everything that's happening. I can't wait. I'm so excited. Oh my god. So excited. I'm so hyped. So hyped. Okay. But that's enough. I really need to get to sleep. I will see you all in the next video.